What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to review a mixtape by Denace that basically came out somewhere in 2014. So the thing about this particular product here is just the information about this product is pretty scarce as far as this pitch can happen. This mixtape was originally on like DatPiff and like the Internet Archive pretty much prior to about October 2024. It was on DatPiff, like I was saying previously, back in like the 2010s, early 2020s, but then it was also on the Internet Archive briefly for like at least most of 2024 until the Internet Archive got hacked. Luckily, JGK, an affiliate of mine, JGK, was able to restore a lot of Denace mixtapes that were on the Internet Archive and throw them up on his JGK Records channel. But the unfortunate thing about it is just the fact that you don't really know which particular project they're from. You just get the songs towards those pitch that happens. The information is not really as relayed as full blown. But I was able to do some research about this particular product, and as you can see by the thumbnail of this particular mixtape, it had a particular artwork for it. I was able to discern like the concept of it, just through aspects and kind of meldings here and there. I had seen that this particular mixtape did come out somewhere in like 2014, mid-late 2014, something within that pitch, just because there are two songs out. This mixtape, despite the fact that I'm only reviewing 7 songs, actually has 9 songs on it, which it has 2 songs. It has 2 songs which were from Denace's 2015 EP, Far From Home, as far as those pitches can happen, or I think it's called the Dead End EP as far as those pitches can happen, but the 2 songs that were off the 2014 mixtape that I'm reviewing that were also on his 2015 EP were Find My Peace and Far From Home. So I'm not going to review those particular type songs. And I think at like a particular stage, I don't know if it's already up on YouTube, if I've already posted it, some of that type fare, but I had plans to amalgamate this mixtape to have it in like its former package type format, so at least it can have like a packaging of something in particular just within the aspect behind it. So minus the Find My Peace and Far From Home songs that would be on the 2015 EP Dead End, I'd have to say, which I did review, and you can find that in the Denace playlist, but just to basically say that's going to be available. So in terms of like the title of this particular product, the unfortunate thing is when I saw on Jackal Goldkick's original page that had the song Assault Batteries, that at least I know that the Assault Battery song was on this particular mixtape that I'm reviewing, but I realized that it was from 2014 because there's a song on here called the 0100 Freestyle that was also a song that Drake did in 2014, so it came out somewhere between like the summer of 2014 or so to about like the fall of 2014, as the end of 2014 kind of happened. So somewhere within that pitch, just within the promotional run of the Dead End EP as far as those pitches kind of happen. But the unfortunate thing is about the mixtape cover of this particular product, it doesn't really have a title on there. It's just basically some cat. This is basically like the Denace logo taking a piss on like the explicit content sign as far as those pitches can happen. So it doesn't really have a name, so it just kind of, you just have to use your imagination as to what you think that particular mixtape was called, just because once again the information is gone for good. Just to clear this out, Denace mixtapes are just not available anymore on the Internet Archive, and they may never come back. Now obviously when you get folks like Kendrick Lamar, Meek Mill, or like, you know, Waka Flocka, some of these type of folks that are bigger names to where there's more copies and just restored product of some of that, but this is kind of the concept that Denace is just more low-key. Now he does at least have wiki pages about him just within pitch. He does have like 200, 300,000 subscribers, somewhere in the 6-digit range as far as this pitch can happen, but the unfortunate thing is all that work that he put in, the mixtapes that were originally around on DatPiff and briefly on the Internet Archive, are just gone for good, and especially when these products don't have names and titles about them, it just makes them a lot more difficult to kind of discern. So I'll just kind of showcase the concept now. I came up with the name. I was really trying to research the concept and just seeing if there were any products of any loose information where folks would have some memories of some Denace. It is pretty like, you know, omitted. I just feel like the concept of like all the projects that Denace did, you might get the comments of people saying, oh, hey, I remember Denace from back in the day or something like that, but they don't really say, oh, I remember like the blah, blah, blah tape or something like that, like the purple tape, you know, just something like that as far as being able to say, I remember listening to the purple tape back in 2013, it was bomb diggity, you know, just pictures like that. There's no real person really saying that, Reddit or otherwise, those type of places, so you don't really get the details as far as those pitches can happen. It's pretty zip-lipped just within the appeal. This is kind of a product of the past, whether folks just don't remember or whatnot, just kind of the appeal. But I was able to find at least one particular Denace type song that has that particular type pitch about it, and apparently Denace at some stage, and I'll put a picture of this So you can see what I'm talking about. There was some project that Denace was possibly going to do called the Gloomy Tapes Volume 2. So I assumed that there was a Gloomy Tapes Volume 1. I don't know when these came out. I don't know if these were fictitious or something like that, but it's just kind of strange. But that's the only thing I could really think to call this project, because otherwise it just would have been me particularly coming up just in general with the name for this mixtape that I've decided to kind of unofficially create here. So I'm just going to call it Denace The Gloomy Tapes Volume 1 as far as this pitch can happen. Now there's not really going to be a Volume 2 because I don't have any further artwork, and it's really like these Denace. I'm not within the aspect of creating artwork on the computer as far as trying to make like some Denace artwork for some further mixtapes. So it's just gonna be called Denace. It may not even be called Denace The Gloomy Tapes Volume 1. It may just be called Denace The Gloomy Tapes as far as those pitches can happen. But basically, this is a project of songs that came out in 2014. And I'll go ahead and list the 9 songs that were on this tape, and then we'll get to it. So the 9 songs on here were basically 0 to 100 Freestyle, Assault and Battery, 0 100 Freestyle, Assault Battery, Dedication, He's Not, Love Me Snippet, $1 Million Guy, The Cleanup Freestyle, and then the 2 songs that I'm not going to review but were also on this mixtape back in 2014 and in the original days of the particular format of the mixtape were Find My Peace and Far From Home, which are also on the Dead End EP from early 2015. So it's just within that same promotional type run Denace was working on projects. So this might have been, the thing about this particular product here is this might have been an official Denace project. I just think the official kind of candor, judging by Denace's similarity to like Slim Shady, some of that type fare, I kind of look after it, that the one with Denace kind of pissing on the explicit content side, that might have actually been an official one back in the day. I feel like some of these type ones, there are some unofficial Denace mixtapes that kind of showed up just in the pitch. People were creating unofficial type ones of just snippets and loosies that he had from like the early 2010s and late 2000s pitches like that, but I almost question if this was an official product just judging by the artwork as far as those fairs going to happen. I'm not really sure. Most of the Denace material from those days is particularly gone. The only real mixtape that's really is full-blown available anymore is just the I Want My Money Back mixtape, which I reviewed back in December, which is also on this particular channel in the playlist of Denace as far as those pitches going to happen. So it's just within the fair behind it, just being able to say. But yeah, just to say about the Gloomy tapes here, I recommend all 7 of these songs just to have to say within the format behind it. So this mixtape is going to get a 10 out of 10 just within the fair as far as those aspects going to happen. So there's 2 places where you can find this particular product. I don't know as full bound if I will consistently keep up these songs as full bound within the pitch behind it, but it's just an aspect. If you absolutely want the mixtape in its full format, you can find it in the Denace playlist on the JGK Records channel as far as those pitches can happen. It's just there, but it's just not discernible because all the songs by Denace have the same thumbnail picture as far as those pitches can happen. So it's not, you're just going to have to do the research and find it in the playlist as far as knowing which songs are off that mixtape. But I listed the ones that they are kind of packaged at a time, and I think most of these songs are just separated by the snippets that kind of go along with it. But it's just within the details. So just realized that there were a lot of mixtapes that were by Denace on the Internet Archive that had like 6, 7, 8, 9 songs somewhere within those particular type formats. Some of them were unofficial, some of them weren't, but it's just within the pitch. So I'm going to review this. Like I said, this might have been official, but it's just within the fair. The information nowadays is kind of lost. So yeah, I recommend every song on here. Let's talk about some of these. $1 Million Guy is definitely one of the best songs on here. I'd have to say it's like a knocking and heavy, snappy kind of night venue. $1 Million Guy is like a knocking and heavy and kind of snappy night venue turn up to kind of get here. Just pop bottles, great quick TGIF type fare is going to have off this particular song. This feels like typical kind of Friday night, Thursday night type turn up just in the pitch behind it. Just excellent work shift type relief to kind of get within those pitches. I'd have to say just some excellent type fare. It just feels like a standard kind of fare of just like not necessarily EDM, but just something that not necessarily something EDM, but just something kind of in a similar type fashion of it. Something that LMFAO or Lil Jon in like the early 2010s or like Pitbull would have done to some of those dance party type crazes. It just has a lot of good ousting points as far as those pitches kind of happen. Another one that really goes pretty excellently with that particular song, $1 Million Guy, is Assault Battery, and this is like a feeling hella warped, just high as hell particular song to kind of get here, just a venue party outburst kind of get within those pitches. Real craze type song. Denace goes nuts on this particular one. Early 2000s styles, Slim Shady type. This has some early 2000s type styles, Slim Shady type feels about it, and this pairs pretty good with $1 Million Guy, like I was saying, just excellent type fare for that. So basically, just taking the concept of just getting like Eminem from like the Slim Shady, Marshall Mathers LP type days, just an aspect of early 2010s type production, similar to like the I Want My Money Back type fare. But the excellence about this is the fact that he carries these particular songs pretty excellently within the fare behind it. So it's just some excellent type content, kind of get some of these just basically 2013, 2012, 2014 type pitch of like some house party and house type music, this mild EDM type fare, not necessarily EDM, but just within the pitch of the same sort of aspect of places where you'd hear David Guetta, things like Linkin Park from their Recharged album, some of those type fairs that just feel like crazy kind of house type music and mild rave type music just from the pitch, some good type ones. And then the cleanup freestyle is another one that's pretty excellent like that as well. It's like a pounding kind of weekend and social embrace buzz kind of get within that tone. This goes great with $1 Million Guy and Assault Battery, like I was saying. So overall lit type song. So I like these turn up type ones just within the pitch, just because the aspect behind it, if you do listen to some of the Denace albums, are kind of around like the 4 ones that he has. They're actually available for purchase, like the Dead End EP and the 2013, 2014, 2015 albums that he still has available that are really like the only things left. It is kind of within the pitch that some of those are not as real full-bound kind of party animal kind of powder keg kind of craziness. So it's just good to get some of these type of ones on here as far as this pitch can happen. Just being able to say these are some Liddy type moments. And then an almost song on here. Now the thing about it is I feel like I do like this song, but this is like the closest thing to an almost song. It may not be an almost song, but it's just within the pitch that I just feel like the portion of the song, this is kind of a more cooling off type song. With the 0-100 freestyle feels more like a 100 to 0 in terms of like the pacing. I'd have to say about it. It's not in terms of the quality, I'm saying that, but just in terms of the pacing. As far as this particular song starts off crazy, like some sort of mid-2010s trap, just some of that type crazy type fare like you'd expect from Young Thug, Future, Yo Gotti, some of that typeness. Drake and like his crazier type moments, kind of similar to Worst Behavior by Drake, some of those type fares, and then it shifts to like calmer, kind of let off some steam, kind of calm you as far as this pitch can happen, where you're just pissed off in the beginning, but after like a lengthy cruise or something like that, or getting some food, some of that type fare, you just are kind of more and just calmer, just cool off, just kind of steam kind of emanating just within the pitch, as far as saying like, all right, I'm not as pissed as I was like a few moments ago, just within the pitch behind as far as those fares can happen. Just excellent type commerce to just kind of engage a little bit and just kind of be more ambient. At least that's just the vibe I got for it. It's strange that particular song is called 0-100 just in the pitch behind it. It's actually kind of the antithesis to that, I'd have to say. But yeah, I'd have to say there's some other ones on here, like the Love Me snippet's a nice one. This is like just a brief, like I don't know where this particular song showed up in terms of its original format, because to my knowledge it's not on the Dead End EP, or really I can't think of further Denace projects where it would have been about. Maybe this was just always like in a preview type format. But the Love Me snippet, for the brief tangent that you get about, is pretty nice. It's like a piercing and brooding, kind of murky makeshift comedy to kind of get within that sense. Just kind of a recovery type style, some of that type fare that Eminem was doing like 2010, 2011, just in like an in-between day kind of fashion. So it's kind of fleetingness in the aspect, it's kind of more busybody type errands just in the pitch behind it, just kind of not much free time as far as those pitch can happen, just kind of getting from point A to point B, just in like, I mean, it's a real snappy song on top of that, but just the concept, I think this original type song was just something of like the format of like, got stuff to do today, don't have too terribly much time to really scuzz around as far as those pitch can happen, just in the aspect behind it. So it's a good type fare for that. Good, nice one. And there are some makeshift type songs in here kind of get within that pitch. I like this particular aspect. Dedication is another one here. It's like a sobering, real talk kind of makeshift comedy to kind of get within that pitch. Just a nice biting kind of cooler weather, kind of workaday Tuesday tune kind of have within that pitch, I'd have to say. It's like a nice biting kind of cooler weather workaday to kind of get within that pitch, and it's like some good Tuesday tune type music kind of have within that fare. So I just had to say about this one, yes, the Dedication is just some shit is real type tones just within the pitch behind it. Just that standard kind of biting embrace that you just feel in like the autumn or winter pitches as far as those particular fares going to happen. Good type commerce just to be able to get to some real talk type tunes just within the fare behind it. Just for like the engagement of that particular one. It's a little bit more serious type fashion, just kind of the concept behind it, but it's just good to switch up some of those type tones to cover different bases as far as those pitches going to happen. And then He's Not is a nice one. This is a surprising one from Denace just because the concept is a little bit different type fare, but this is like a vintage kind of mid-2000s DJ drama mixtape soul to kind of get within that pitch. Just some of that Don Cannon kind of soul that folks like Jeezy and Lil Wayne would kind of do with some of those type moments. This takes it back to 2005, 2006. It's like some house cleaning and routine day kind of errands I'd have to say about this particular one. Good throwback song kind of get within that pitch. So this reminds definitely of like a 2006 mixtape, some of that type fare, some excellent goodness. The thing about this particular mixtape is just almost every song on here is pretty much less than a minute and 40 seconds, minus the song Dedication. So it's just within the pitch as far as those fares kind of happen. It's just within the aspect that most of these songs are more in snippet and this quickie type format, but they work for what they are as far as this pitch can happen. Just some good type fare, just getting the aspect of just some primers and kind of appetizers. These have a lot of good conducts on here. This is an overall engaging type mixtape, just like a lot of other Denace products I reviewed as far as those fares can happen. So this is definitely a nice one. So when I do this, just understand the concept of this is bolstering like the appeal of getting some of this. Is because the aspect that Denace is becoming a lot trickier, and it's just kind of the concept that you have to say between JGK being able to have these songs still around, just to not have them lost forever once the internet archive crashed. Is kind of the concept that it is kind of the concept, and then me kind of putting this in a more amalgamated type format to where you can have it like the package that it was originally in back in like the mid 2010s. You just have to understand that there's some good type fare that would pretty much be gone, just pretty much up in smoke for good, if not for the concept of like some leftover kind of archiving as far as those pitches can happen. So some good type fare. These are definitely worth the archive as far as that particular kind of goes. So this mixtape gets a 10 out of 10. The social score I will go ahead and give like a 9.752 out of 10, because it's just kind of the concept that in terms of like the conduct of whether or not this has its full bound kind of availability. I mean, just because the notation, you pretty much are going to have to seek out either this particular channel, Acid Rootz, or JGK Records to be able to find like this mixtape and like its conduct, just because it's really not available anywhere. I mean, the Denace mixtapes for the most part are pretty much vaped from like Denace mixtapes have pretty much been vaped from like the internet as far as that full bound is kind of concerned. They're just gone with no traces and real scant kind of details overall as far as many people just whatsoever having any of these products left over. People may have memories of them, but it's not as much like the full-blown kind of concern in terms of like keeping the content. So some of these, like just like I was saying, like 6, 8, 9 months ago, they were kind of around, but they're just gone for good now. It's just kind of the concept. So you have to kind of lap up some of these and just be glad that you have them just within the pitch, because it's just kind of the concept that they are rare items. So just I give it a 9.75 just for the difficulty of being able to have. But the social score is definitely some excellent type fare on here, just to say. I mean, $1 Million Guy, Assault Battery, the Cleanup Freestyle, some commerce type ones like 0100 Freestyle and He's Not, Love Me Snippet, some of these type ones, Dedications, and Excellent Sober in type 1. So it just has the social aspects, just real biting type 1, covers the bases real well, and just has the fun aspect about it. It's just kind of within the tone, it's just difficult to find. So 9.75. In terms of the future, like Denace has been putting out songs in recent times as far as those pitch can happen. I don't know if he'll ever drop like another project, but there are some ones. I don't know if I'll continue to review like JGK Records does have more of these mixtapes, but unfortunately without an artwork, it just, unless I really felt creative about creating some artwork, I don't really know if I'd be able to find more like thumbnails for some of the artwork that was originally done back in those days, because it's just gone. I mean, JGK, I don't know if he still has them within the pitch, but it's just kind of the fair that for the most part they're kind of gone. Like I said, I didn't even know the original name of this project because the album cover that this particular had didn't really have a title on there, so it's just within the pitch. That's just kind of the aspect. So this very scant, this mysterious, just within the pitch behind it, elusive within that tone, but it's just the concept that it is excellent type fare to get once you do find it. So it's just some good typeness. So yeah, this is definitely a download. This is definitely worth the investment trying to track down some of that type fare. So I would recommend it pretty full blown, and just has some good blitzing type appeal for like weekend type fare and overall excitement.